1 minute. We're about to start in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Please take your seats, and we're going to begin right now. I am Pete Surser, Chair of the ACCT Board of Directors and a trustee from Midlands Technical College in South Carolina. Welcome to this evening. Go ahead. Thank you very much. Joining me on the stage this evening are AACC Chair John Skilski, ACCT President, ACCT President and CEO Noah Brown, and AACC President and CEO Walter Baucus. At this time, I'd like everyone to please make sure that their cell phones are either off or put in the silent position. It is now my pleasure to call upon Dr. Orlando George, President of Delaware Technical and Community College, to introduce tonight's first special honoree.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, colleagues. When I was asked to present the 2011 National Education Service Award tonight to one of the recipients, I could not have been more honored. I've had the distinct pleasure of knowing Mike Castle for more years than either of us would like to admit. And what an amazing journey it has been for you, my friend. Mike Castle's distinguished career in public service spans more than 40 years, during which he held a variety of positions. He served the people of Delaware as Deputy Attorney General and as a leader in Delaware's General Assembly, where I first met him. Later, he was elected to the position of Lieutenant Governor, served 2 terms as governor, and then 9 terms as Delaware's sole member in the U.S. House of Representatives. Longer than anyone in Delaware history has served in the House. And throughout his time in public office, what an advocate we have had for education. While in Congress, Mike helped shape every significant piece of federal education legislation of the past 18 years. Having served for many years as chairman of the Subcommittee on Education Reform and as a member of the Subcommittee on Higher Education, Lifelong Learning, and Competitiveness. Mike is a strong supporter of education and community college education. Long before community colleges gained a presence in national politics, Mike got it. He understood the unique mission of community colleges and how they are critical to a healthy economy. When Mike assumed the role of co-chair of the Congressional Community College Caucus in 2005, he consistently took tough stands that supported community colleges and helped the caucus gain prominence and widespread congressional support. During the Higher Education Act reauthorization in 2005, he advocated strongly to protect federal funding for community colleges by successfully spearheading an effort to defeat the proposed single definition that many of you will remember. And he voted to support the American Graduation Initiative in September 2010, when efforts were made on the House floor to eliminate the program from the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act. Now, many of you may not know that Mike is a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin, a staunch supporter of education himself. Ben once said, and I'm going to quote, "There was never a truly great man that was not at the same time truly virtuous." End of quote. Mike's courage, his integrity, and his respect for others are the virtues upon which he built his legacy of legislative accomplishments. Anyone who has worked with Mike knows what I'm talking about. Throughout his career, Mike demonstrated remarkable personal courage, taking on positions that were not always expedient or easy, but were the right thing to do for Delaware and for our nation. He faced down presidents and colleagues from both parties to fight for the best interest of those he served. Yet he did so humbly, always treating the other side with respect. Perhaps it's a family trait. Ben Franklin extolled the virtue of civility when he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Those who are adversarial get victory sometimes, but they never get goodwill." Mike understood this well. He earned the goodwill of his colleagues because he built bridges and formed coalitions to find bipartisan solutions to critical issues. It was a practice that won him the admiration of both Democrats and Republicans with whom he served. Mike Castle's most meaningful contributions can be found in his willingness to put politics aside to find pragmatic, common sense answers to the most pressing problems facing education and the nation. I can think of no other person more deserving of this award. It is my distinct privilege on behalf of AACC and ACCT to present the 2011 National Education Service Award to the Honorable Michael N. Castle. Congratulations, Mike.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Let me start by thanking Lonnie for his overly generous introduction. I enjoyed every moment of it. My wife Jane is here. She enjoyed it as well. Let me pay my respects to Max Baucus, who will receive the same honorarium here shortly, and for all the great work that he has done. And I believe Jill Biden is coming before it's all said and done. I got to tell you a story about Jill, who's a good friend of Jane, my wife, who's here, mine. And when Joe was elected vice president and was going to live here, I got it in my mind, since I had gone to Georgetown Law School, that she should teach at Georgetown University. And so I called the president, and I sort of cleared the way for perhaps getting this done or whatever it may be. And I finally called Jill. I said, "Hey, Jill, how'd you like to teach at Georgetown?" She said, "I'd be more interested in teaching at a community college," which she was already doing. So. And a disclaimer while I'm up here, when I went to Georgetown Law School, I lived about 1 block from this particular hotel, which was the Sheraton Park at the time, and I had 7 roommates. We paid $30 apiece, $210, to live in a townhouse over there as we went back and forth to school. And of course, we were relatively impoverished, as most graduate students are, as you all know. And one of the pleasures that some of my roommates took was to come over here to the hotel and to take the name tags of people at various events, such as your name tag, and to enjoy usually cocktails, sometimes a few hors d'oeuvres, maybe even a dinner. And I just want you to know that I always thought that maybe I'd be in politics someday. I never did anything like that during that entire time. So I just thought I'd make that disclaimer before we go any further. Anybody tries to arrest me or anything like that. It is a great honor to be here with all of you, to your officers, to all those who helped organize this. I just want to proffer my thanks. You wonder sometimes how you get into things, and one of the things, of course, I did was to be one of the vice chairs of the Community College Caucus on the Hill in the House, and that probably happened because I had two young ladies who worked in my office. Kate Dickens, whose mother was the president of a community college, and Sarah Rittling, whose mother is here, who is president of a community college. And they came in one day and they said, "We have a great idea for you, Congressman. We want you to be the co-chair of the Community College Caucus." And I took one look at them and remembered their background and said, "I'll do it," right on the spot. And so I did that, and I did it with great pleasure, and it really was fun, and we worked hard. We were able to get a few things done, but it gave me a sense of recognition of all the community colleges have meant to people in this country in a whole variety of ways. A stepping stone, perhaps, to higher education. I know in Delaware, and Lonnie knows this far better than I, but in Delaware, many of the students going to Delaware Technical Community College now are on their way to the University of Delaware, Delaware State University, or other colleges in Delaware. That's probably true all over the country. It is a community which is adjusted to the workplace. The cry of the day is jobs from a political point of view, and you probably heard that a lot when you were on the Hill today. Everyone is concerned about employment and jobs. And there are many individuals who need that college background in order to get the jobs. And you made a difference as far as that's concerned. But you've also recognized in your own communities what those needs are. Is there a specific kind of training that is needed? And it's very hard for a Harvard or Yale to do that kind of thing. But our community colleges have made those adjustments and have afforded opportunities to people to be able to be educated, to be prepared for whatever that job may be. And for that, we're all extraordinarily thankful. The one area that concerns me the most in many ways now is remedial education, and you have become masters at dealing with remedial education. It is my hope that we can improve the education system in America to the extent that we do not need to be concerned about remedial education, that people who graduate from high school are ready for you to continue their education, and we can go forward from there because it makes a huge difference. I remember when community colleges first started in America and the discussion of it and not thinking much about it. And then as it started to spread, I paid more attention to it and finally, obviously, got deeply involved in it. Now, as I look back at that history, which is really not that long, when I see all the benefit this has done for America, for individuals, for the workplace, for economic opportunity in our country, I realize that the sacrifice that many of you have made, either in being involved in education directly or perhaps being trustees or board members or whatever it may be, makes a huge difference. And I'd just like to proffer my thanks to each and every one of you for helping young, and in some cases not so young people, being able to advance in this world. You have made a great difference. I would hope that all members of Congress would be understanding of this, and I think that they are. When we have introduced legislation or amendments dealing with our community colleges, generally they've been met very favorably across this country, and for that we can all be appreciative as well. But without all of you sacrificing your time and making sure that these individuals have that opportunity to advance, it would never happen. So I accept this award. Heck, I'm not in office anymore. I'll accept any award anybody will give me. But having said that, I really treasure this award and all that it means because, as I said, it's been a pleasure to serve you in the capacity of helping our community colleges, and indeed what you have done reflects as well in our society as anything that's happening in America today. So my congratulations to each and every one of you for all that you have done. I wish you well at the conference. I wish you a good evening tonight. And I look forward to continuing to try to help you in my more limited capacity, which I have now. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round warm of applause to Representative Michael Castle for a strong advocacy on behalf of his commitment to our students at our institutions. Thank you very much. It's now my pleasure to call upon Dr. Jane Karras, member of the AACC Board of Directors and president of Flathead Valley Community College in Montana, to introduce tonight's next special honoree. Dr. Karras.
Good evening. It is my distinct honor to present this year's National Education Service Award to our next recipient. Senator Max Baucus is Montana's senior senator, serving his 6th term, and is the current chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. Within the many critical issues he oversees, he recognizes that community colleges play an integral role in addressing America's workforce needs. Last year, Senator Baucus ensured the passage of the Trade Adjustment Assistant Community College and Career Training Program, securing $2 billion of funding to afford community colleges the resources that enhance our programs and help our students overcome barriers to their success. In addition, Senator Baucus has championed tax reforms that improve college access and affordability for all Americans. He listened carefully when we told him that many of our low-income students are not eligible for tax credits. He addressed this by creating a tax refund that benefits all community college students. Senator Baucus is a true statesman who knows the importance of teamwork and how to reach across the aisle to develop and pass effective legislation. As a 5th-generation Montanan, he is not afraid to roll up his sleeves and step into any job, which he often does when he's home in Montana working alongside Montanans in their varied occupations. Montana was built by neighbors helping neighbors, raising barns and branding cattle. Even here in Washington, D.C., Senator Baucus makes people feel at home. Every Montanan knows when they come to Washington, D.C., they can stop on Wednesday morning and have coffee with Senator Baucus. They call him their neighbor and their friend and their partner, and he truly is. At any time, they can call him or email him directly, and he always returns those requests for information. In addition, the sign of a true leader is somebody who has excellent staff, and I would be remiss in not recognizing Heather O'Loughlin and Hun Kwok, who are 2 of the many individuals who work for Senator Baucus and have been critical in moving forward legislation supporting community colleges. Senator Baucus's love for our community colleges is most evident when he visits our campuses. Whether he is spending time in a classroom at Flathead Valley Community College, talking about the federal budget with our economics students, or in our cafeteria visiting with our students about the challenges they face, Senator Baucus, the chair of the Senate Finance Committee, always has time to truly listen to each student, to talk about their classes, their families, and their economic challenges. For those of us in communities hard hit by the loss of jobs, whether in Montana or across this great nation, we owe Senator Baucus a debt of gratitude for his creation of the Trade Adjustment Assistant Program and its Community College Career and Training Grant Program. He is working hard to secure funds for both of these critical programs to fulfill our nation's promise to support community colleges. Senator Baucus understands the importance of partnerships in order to accomplish great things that benefit our communities, our individuals, and our nation. For his continued commitment and support of our nation's community colleges, someone who is a true partner and someone who I am proud to call a friend, I am very pleased on behalf of AACC and ACCT to present the 2011 National Education Service Award to my senator from Montana, Senator Max Baucus.
Thank you, Jane, so very, very much. Before I begin, I'd like to say what deep respect I have for Mike Castle. I am very honored here to be on the podium with him. Mike Castle is just one super public servant and just a great guy. Let's give Mike another round of applause. He deserves it. Thank you again so much, Jane. Those of you who know Jane know, and those of you who don't know Jane can tell that she works tirelessly for the students of Flathead Valley Community College. Whenever I think of the Flathead Valley, I think of Jane Karras. She is such a pillar, such a stalwart, is such an important person in Flathead Valley, and does so much for our state. I'm going to ask all the folks, the Montanans at the table here, to join me in giving Jane a big round of applause. She is joined here by three of her trustees, Tom Harding, Tom McElwain, and Bob Nyston. And also, President Stephanie Hicksaw is here. Stephanie is Miles Community College president of Miles City, Montana. Her college is located about 542 miles from Flathead Valley. They both do great work. One serves one end of the state, and the other the other. A little bit greater distance than in Delaware, Mike. But thank you very much to the American Association of Community Colleges and the Association of Community College Trustees for this award. Thank you very, very much. It means a lot to me. And thank you to all of the community college presidents and trustees here tonight. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, quote, "Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is a chance to work hard at work worth doing." I can think of no better example of work worth doing than the efforts of America's community colleges. Serving almost 44% of all U.S. undergraduates, community colleges are the gateway to post-secondary education for so many students. And your work is now more important than ever. Since the beginning of the Great Recession, the United States has lost more than 8 million jobs. Both young and old are returning to school to enhance their skills. Workers are quickly discovering what you have known for decades: the ticket to a better life is through education. 40 years ago, 60% of those with a high school degree found themselves in the middle class. Today, that is just not the case. Those without a college degree are sliding more and more into lower income levels. And this trend will continue. Nearly 2/3 of the job vacancies projected between 2008 and 2018 require some post-secondary education. Jobs lost over the past 2 years will be replaced by jobs requiring entirely new sets of skills. Community colleges will continue to play a critical role in the economic recovery. In fact, I believe create an even greater role than ever before, and will continue to have that role. You are leading the way in preparing students to re-enter, or enter in the first place, the workforce. By partnering with the private sector, community colleges adjust rapidly and very rapidly to ensure students have the skills they need to find a job. In fact, community colleges can train workers for everything, from their first job to their last. Larry Netzel is a student at Flathead Valley Community College. He's a sophomore in welding inspection program. And while it has been challenging, Larry is earning good grades and is expected to graduate next May. Larry isn't training for his first job, but he certainly hopes he's training for his last. Larry is 64. He never thought he'd go back to school. In fact, Larry hadn't been in school since 1964. He was hired by the Columbia Falls Aluminum Company at age 23 and expected to spend his entire career there. Those plans came to a halt in 2009 when the aluminum company shut down and laid off nearly 200 workers. The company worked quickly to file for trade adjustment assistance, a program we know as TAA. The company collaborated with Flathead Valley Community College, I'm sure much of that was Jane's work, to ensure FVCC was prepared to take on the increased student load. Larry had worked at the same job at that plant for nearly 40 years. Because of programs like TAA and community colleges like Flathead, workers like Larry have a second chance at a new career. And that's why programs like TAA are so important. They provide workers a second chance at earning Roosevelt's best prize, working hard at work worth doing. In 2009, we fought hard for significant expansions and important reforms to the TAA program. As a result, 170,000 more American workers receive the help they need to find new jobs. One important expansion was the creation of the TAA for Community College and Career Training Grant Program, which was designed especially for colleges like yours, that is, to help train workers like Larry. And in 2010, we helped craft legislation that included, as mentioned, $2 billion for this program. And I am thrilled that the first installment of these funds, $500 million, will be available to community colleges this year. This will help community colleges in Montana and across the country to address the biggest workforce challenge we face, maintaining America's competitive edge. Despite our hard work to pass an extension, unfortunately, the TA program expired over the weekend. We remain, however, committed to extending it and making this right. We need to make sure that workers like Larry have the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. More than 400,000 workers are counting on us. We must succeed. I will continue to do all I can to ensure post-secondary education is affordable and accessible for all Americans. As the Finance Committee begins its work on tax reform, we'll ensure that